Dad insisted we keep it between us. He told me not to mention it to my mom. After that first encounter, it became a nightly routine. I can't resist him any longer. I know it's wrong, but my feelings for my father are overwhelming. It all began on a Thursday morning when the city announced the lockdown. Schools shut their doors, businesses closed, and the world fell eerily silent. Our house, a modest two-bedroom home, became both a sanctuary and a prison for my father and me. Dad was sitting in the living room when the announcement came on TV. He's 38 but looks younger, except for the slight streaks of gray in his hair. I've always admired how he carried himself. Stoic, calm, the kind of person who seemed unshaken by life's curveballs. But even he looked worried as he stared at the screen. His coffee cup paused midair. "Looks like it's just going to be us for a while," he said, trying to sound lighthearted. "Yeah," I replied, unsure how to feel. The reality of being stuck indoors with Dad for who knew how long hadn't hit me yet. And there was also Mom, working as a nurse in Dubai, unable to come home because of the travel restrictions. It was just us two, navigating the uncertainty together. The first few weeks were awkward. Dad worked remotely from his makeshift office in the dining room, while I juggled online teaching and my private life, the one I'd kept hidden for years. You see, I'm gay. Discreet, closeted, whatever label fits. I never outright told Dad, and he never asked. But there were moments, like the time he found my playlist full of Madonna and Lady Gaga, or the photos of me and my best friend, Marco, a little too close for just friends. He'd glance at me with that knowing look but never said a word. I'd always wondered if he was waiting for me to bring it up. Days turned into weeks, and we started to settle into a routine. We'd eat breakfast together, talk about mundane things like the weather or what was on the news. In the evenings, we'd watch movies, his favorite action flicks or my guilty pleasures, romantic comedies. It was like being roommates more than father and son. One night, I came into the kitchen to get some water. I checked the clock and it's past 12 midnight. As I passed down to the hall, I saw Dad's room slightly ajar. I slowly walked towards the door when I saw Dad doing something that I did not expect. He was playing himself. I moved closely to the opening to clearly see what he is doing. For a moment, I can feel my body is burning. My throat bob as I swallow hard. I feel sweat in my forehead and in my neck and in my chest. I want to walk away, but I cannot. I froze. I got excited watching my dad. I started touching myself, but I accidentally pushed the door a little, which created sound. Dad noticed me, but I tried to hide it and immediately walked away into my bedroom. I locked and leaned at the door thinking of what Dad will think about me. It was embarrassing. I did not sleep well that night. While I was lying in bed thinking about what I saw, I feel different and started to play myself. I took off my clothes and slid down my boxer half below my knees. A few minutes later, I heard a knock on the door. Panicked, I immediately went and opened the door, forgetting how hard I was and is evident in my boxers. "Hi, Dad. Do you need anything?" I asked while I tried to hide my hard thing. No, son. I thought you need something earlier as I saw you behind the door." "No, Dad. I'm good," I quickly responded. "You okay down there?" he asked with a smile while looking down my thing. "I'm good, Dad," I immediately replied. "Hey, if you need anything from me, just let me know. I am open and willing to help you, okay?" There was something in his tone that made me feel both excited and exposed, like he knew more about me than I'd ever admitted. I wanted to say something, to bridge the gap, but the words felt stuck in my throat. I always hid my real identity, and I fell to my parents, afraid that they think different about me and scared of people judging me because of who I am. One day, during one of our movie nights, we were watching Love, Simon, because I convinced him to give it a try. As the movie unfolded, I felt my chest tighten. I could feel his eyes on me during certain scenes, the coming out, the rejection, the acceptance. When the credits rolled, Dad turned to me. "Good movie," he said. Then, after a pause, "Must have been hard for him." I swallowed hard. "Yeah, it was." He looked at me for a long moment. "You know, you don't have to hide anything from me." My heart felt like it stopped. "What do you mean?" "You're my son," he said simply. "I don't care who you love. I just want you to be happy." I didn't know whether to cry or laugh. The relief was overwhelming. "Thanks, Dad," I managed to say. "Took you long enough," he teased, ruffling my hair like I was 10 years old again. We both laughed, and for the first time in a long time I felt free. Dad hugged me so tight and brushed my hair while I leaned on his chest. He kissed my forehead. I slide my hands and wrap it around his waist. He smells so good that I feel my body is burning inside. I feel something else of his hug, but I did not care. He cupped my face with his 2 hands and gave me a kiss on my cheek. I wanted to kiss him, but it's not right. I immediately changed my mood as I said that I am off to bed. I wanted to sleep with my dad, but it doesn't feel right. I brushed my feelings away as I go to bed that night. As we continue to live the day, I always caught Dad playing himself every night. I sometimes see the video he is looking at while he's playing. And every time I watch him play himself, I always wonder how it feels to play with him. One time, when I stepped out of the shower without any clothes on, I did not notice Dad standing in the hallway. "You're a big boy now, son," he said with slightly smile on his face. "Yeah, Dad, I am," I respond panically while trying to look for the towel. "And that gun is also grown now," he said while walking closer towards me. "How many guys had seen or play this?" he added while he's trying to touch of my gun. I cannot move and just stand there and let Dad touch me. "None, Dad," I responded awkwardly. "Ah, and it slightly gets a hard-on," he said while smiling and playing on my semi-hard gun. I cannot imagine the feeling at that moment. I cannot move and did not imagine that this will happen. "Haha, Dad." Before I finished my sentence, I feel something wet and warm in my gun. When I looked down, I saw Dad playing it with his tongue and mouth. I closed my eyes and allowed Dad to do it. He is good. Feels good. We did more than that. Something that he and Mom only did. We did it in the shower and then moved to the bedroom. I like how he controls everything and how he made me like his puppet. I just followed him all the way. After we finished, I slightly put my head on his chest and I can feel his heart is still racing. "Son, please keep this between us. Don't tell you Mom about it," he said seriously. "Of course, Dad. It will be our dirty little secret." The morning after, I saw Dad already in the kitchen preparing for breakfast. I am hesitant to speak to him as I do not know what to say. "Good morning, son. Coffee?" he asked with a big smile on his face. "Thank you, Dad. And yes, I need coffee after what happened last night," I responded with a sound of seriousness and a joke in my voice. I saw he grinned while handing me a mug of coffee. Our hands brush and he looked me in the eye and walked closer towards me as he kissed me in my lips. "At least there will be something between us that sealed our bond as father and son," he seriously said with a smile. The pandemic dragged on and so our night escapades. As time goes by, something shifted between us. We were no longer just surviving the lockdown, we were living through it together. I started opening up about my life, my dreams, even Marco, who Dad said he'd like to meet someday. We still had our struggles. Moments of fear, frustration, and longing for the world outside. But we faced them head-on as a team. Dad's acceptance gave me the courage to embrace who I was, and I'd like to think I gave him a little hope, too. In the end, the lockdown wasn't just about being stuck in the house. It was about finding each other in ways we never had before. And for that, I'll always be grateful. What are your thoughts on our story? I'd love to hear your perspective or any similar experiences you've had. Feel free to share your story. Your voice matters.